Pedro Acosta stood in Parc Fermé after his first ever MotoGP win and looked like a man who hadn't won. Because in his head, he hadn't. Not really. Marc Marquez had crossed that line first. Marquez had made the move, held the position, and led when it mattered most. In pure racing terms, he had done everything required to win the sprint. The stewards changed the result. And Acosta, instead of celebrating wildly, said the quiet part out loud. I would have preferred to finish first battling for it, not with Marc letting me past. It was his first Premier-class victory, and his first instinct was to tell the world it wasn't enough. That is either the most ruthless mindset in the paddock, or the start of the rivalry that could define MotoGP for the next several years. If you enjoy real MotoGP analysis, the technology, the politics, the stories behind the headlines, subscribe to GP Insider. This is the incident, the reaction, and what it means, not just for the championship, but for race direction, for Ducati, and for the relationship between two riders who may soon share the same garage. Here is what happened. Marco Bezzecchi started from pole position and looked in control early on. But on lap 2, while leading, he crashed. Just like that, the sprint changed completely. What could have been a strategic race became a straight fight between Marquez and Acosta. For 11 laps, they battled at turn 12. Acosta attacked. Marquez defended. The same braking zone, the same entry, the same refusal to give space. Every time Acosta showed a wheel, Marquez shut the door immediately. Every time Marquez covered the inside, Acosta tried again the next lap. It wasn't chaotic, it was controlled, it was calculated. It was two riders testing each other, learning each other's limits. With 2 laps to go, Acosta changed the pattern. Instead of attacking at the usual spot, he found a gap through the middle sector and took the lead. It was clean and precise. Marquez reacted instantly. At the final corner, he threw the Ducati down the inside. Late on the brakes, fully committed, no room for error. He got his front wheel ahead before the apex. Acosta had nowhere to turn and ran wide over the curb. He rejoined in second. Marquez crossed the line first, but it didn't end there. The move was put under investigation. On the final lap, a message appeared on Marquez's dashboard. Drop 1 position. There was no long straight left to process it calmly. He slowed at the final corner and let Acosta through. Marquez crossed the line second. The classification changed. Acosta was declared the winner. Subscribe, because this season is going to produce a lot more moments like this one. Ducati's reaction was immediate and pointed. Team manager Davide Tardozzi went straight to the cameras. We have seen a lot of this kind of overtake. Marc didn't touch Pedro. He didn't go out of the racetrack, so I think it's unfair. Then he added something more important. This is a sign that race direction wants a different kind of motorcycling. That wasn't just frustration. It was a clear message. Ducati believes this penalty signals a fundamental change in how aggressive racing will be judged. If block passes at the final corner are now punishable even when the overtaking rider stays within track limits, the boundaries of racing have shifted. Former Ducati and Honda manager Livio Suppo said it even more directly. If stewards start penalising this kind of move consistently, we won't see them anymore. Many in the paddock agreed. The move was aggressive. Acosta was forced wide, but there was minimal contact. Marquez stayed within the track limits, and similar last corner moves have gone unpunished in the past. The case for the penalty rests almost entirely on the fact that Acosta was forced off the racing surface, something that happens frequently in tight racing. Marquez handled it calmly. He didn't attack the stewards. He never does. It was a new era in MotoGP. They want it like this, so we need to adapt. The riders have nothing to say. But he did question the timing. The notification arrived on his dashboard at the final corner. If they want to be more strict, be more precise. Send it earlier, not in the last corner. Official notes say he was informed with 27 seconds remaining, but through a tight series of corners, it was almost impossible to react cleanly. Now, focus on Acosta, because his performance in this sprint matters more than the controversy. He came into this sprint with strong testing pace, but no MotoGP wins. When Bezzecchi crashed, he was suddenly in a direct fight with the reigning world champion. He didn't hesitate. He didn't back down. He attacked the same corner repeatedly, knowing Marquez would defend hard. That isn't recklessness. That's confidence. He kept pushing, learning where Marquez was strong and where he might be vulnerable. When he finally took the lead with 1 lap to go, it wasn't luck. It was patience and timing. And when the win came through a penalty instead of a final corner showdown, his reaction said everything. I would have preferred to finish first battling for it. He didn't want the victory handed to him. He wanted to prove he could take it from Marquez directly. That mindset is important. It tells you he already sees himself on that level. Then there's the bigger picture. Marquez and Acosta are widely expected to be Ducati teammates in 2027. Nothing has been officially confirmed, but it is understood across the paddock that this pairing is likely. What happened at Buriram did not look like 2 riders preparing to cooperate. It looked like 2 riders drawing a line. For 11 laps, Marquez refused to give space. Every attack was answered immediately. That is how he treats a rival. Now imagine that rivalry inside the same garage. Tardozzi tried to calm the situation afterward, saying both riders are intelligent and it won't be a problem. Maybe he's right. But when upgrades are limited, when development direction has to be chosen, when one rider gets priority over the other, intelligence doesn't remove ego. It sharpens competition. And both of these riders believe they are number one. Acosta also defended the move that cost Marquez the win. Racing is like this. This is what makes MotoGP exciting. It was a smart answer, calm, respectful, but competitive underneath. Marquez will remember that response just as much as the overtake attempt. 1 race in, 1 penalty, 1 inherited win. And already the tension feels real. If this is how they fight in a sprint, what happens when the championship is on the line? Because if they do end up sharing a Ducati garage in 2027, this won't just be a rivalry across the track. It will be a rivalry under the same roof. And that garage might not be big enough for both of them. We'll follow this rivalry all season. Subscribe if you want the full story. Was the penalty right? Drop it in the comments.